Good evening, popular astronomers, and I absolutely think that this is my most excited astronomy moment of my entire life. Not only do I think that I might have actually found a forever home to do my broadcasting from, in fact, though, it's quite echoey in here, isn't it? I'm in a spare office that we completely forgot about. Really good, strong internet, which is something of a miracle here on Anglesey. But I saw something last night that reduced me to tears, an amazing sight in the sky. And of course, the amazing news about Venus. So tonight, of course, the lady is going to be the star of the show. It's all about Venus. And we have got 3 tip-top guests for you. Hi, Steve Fractals, the man with a million faces. How are you this evening? So, we have got 3 outstanding guests for you. But first, well, I didn't know that I was coming down to this office until about 20 minutes ago. And we finally realized that there was a spare place for me to broadcast from that's got decent internet. And of course, it means that I forgot the mug. So I can't plug the mug tonight again. It's multiple times that the SPA mug has not been with me. Terrible ambassador, I know. But if you go to the blue.com shop, you can get t-shirts, you can get mugs. We've got a whole new range of merchandise, and we all love Astro merch. So please shop generously and do show off your mugs and t-shirts. Send us pictures of you using them, wearing them, and we will post them on the Pop Astro Facebook page. This is your show as well as mine. This is your interactive astronomy show. So please start forging links in the chat room. You can start chatting to each other. A great new way to make friends, because often these little chats that you have in chat rooms turn into Facebook acquaintances, and then they turn into real life friendships. And as we all know, making new friends is exceptionally good for your mental health. And that is why I'm just such a voracious consumer of new friendships. And also, please hit the share button on this video. Now, everybody who's watching it, share. You can share it multiple times. I think that's okay by Facebook, but please share this video. And for every share that you do, a new star thrust forth from a stellar nursery and is born in your honor. How does that sound? So, hi, Vicky from Gerald on the sorry, I will learn how to speak promptly. Hi, Vicky from Gerard on the Wirral. Hello from Bath Astronomers. Hi, Simon. Yes, hello, Bath Astronomers. Oh, we're going to come to what I saw in the sky in a minute last night, actually. I'll come around to that. So, do you want to know who we have got on the show this evening? We have got astronomy imaging supremo Dave Eagle. His images of Venus coming around the mountain towards the sun kept me sane during lockdown. I've never seen such. He stalked Venus until it was like a fraction of a couple of percent visible as it got closer to the sun. So that was wonderful. We've also got Chris North, who was on this month's Sky at Night, part of the Discovery team. And we've also got Nigel Henbest, intrepid astronomer, entertainer, all-around amazing guy, and he is going to be joining us at about 25 to 8. So, how echo is it? Hello. Greetings, everyone from London. Helena, hello. Alison Harvey. Hi, everyone. When I used to before I bothered astronomers, I used to pester DJs, and getting my name read out on the radio I just used to live for it. So I can't imagine how exciting it must be to see your name up in the Facebook comments of a live astronomy chat show. I know, it's just so exciting. It is so exciting. Honest to God, I've not been able to sleep this past couple of nights. My ears and head have been ringing with space and astronomy, because it's just like, this is our moment, people. This is our time to shine, like Venus. Just such a wonderful set of news that we've had lately, and we're going to go deep into that with our guests Dave, Chris and Nigel. Hello all. Right, okay. Hi John, to you. Hi. Right, we're going to go over to Karen Barrett. Thought you guys would like. So yes, please share the video. We love it when you share the video. And with every share, a new star is born in your honor. So we're going to go over to Dave Eagle right now. 3, 2, 1, Dave. Hey.
Hi, Vicky. How are you? Hi, everybody.
How excited are you on a scale to 1 to a million?
Oh, that was amazing news today. The other day, wasn't it? Just fantastic, these phosphines in Venus's atmosphere. So where do they come from? That's what we all want to know. Are they caused by life, or is there something else that we don't know about? That's even exciting in itself.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to ask you at the end if you had to put your money on one or the other, but we'll come to that at the end. Because I remember a couple of years ago, I remember watching a documentary about the discovery of the Higgs boson, and all the particle physicists that they asked in the documentary, they had to put their money on, were they going to find it in this particular range that they were looking at inside the LHC or not? And they were completely split. So I'm going to use that same dramatic technique with my interviewees this evening. So be having a think. It's a sweepstake and it's £5,000 to enter. So Dave, you tell us about what kind of stuff you get up to then, because I think Venus might be taking a restraining order against you because you take some very candid photographs of her, don't you?
I've been stalking it avidly during the summer. Yeah, so April, May and June really were the main stalking times when I was following her quite avidly. Yeah, so the camera was out clicking away and trying to get loads and loads of pictures to show the changes and show some of the highlights of the apparition, because it was there night after night after night, and it was looking absolutely wonderful over in the western sky after it got dark, and you just couldn't miss it. So it was fantastic.
It was incredible. And your images, the sequences of images that you did, and as she was getting closer, she was also getting less and less of more and more of a crescent.
Yeah, it's getting slimmer and slimmer and thinner and bigger as well, because the distance between the Earth and Venus was actually decreasing. So it was looking bigger and bigger as it got thinner and thinner. So it was absolutely amazing to watch day by day. And we had a good run of clear skies up to the inferior conjunction as well.
Yes, we did. So have you been imaging her lately then?
I've been ignoring her lately. She's not going to be happy with me.
Not, especially right in her moment of glory.
Because then Comet Neowise came along and that distracted me from the planet. So now, of course, Mars is getting really nice. So
whoa, I saw Mars last night, Dave, and it was incredible.
Yeah, we're so fickle, us astronomers. You know, we pass from one extravaganza to another, one spectacle to another. Yeah.
So let's talk about it.
I've ignored you.
Look, John McAvoy says, hi, everyone. Feeling excited. I know we are so excited.
Hi, John. I know, John.
Oh, hi, John. Hi. Who's got the biggest telescope out of you and John?
Oh, I don't know, actually.
Probably you.
Mine's C11, so I think mine's a bit bigger than John's. So, yeah.
We should have a who's got the biggest telescope contest.
We should have.
Come on. She looked good on Monday morning with the crescent moon. Start telling us who's got the biggest telescope in the chat, please. We want your sizes. So, Dave, let's chat about imaging Venus, please. Give us some tips.
Yeah, the biggest problem is the brightness, because it is so bright. Yeah, so it is very bright. So lots of light is bouncing around inside the telescope tube. So that does give you problems. One of the things that I was doing was actually imaging it during the day so that I could reduce a lot of the reflections within the telescope and manage to capture it that way. So can I share my screen, Vicky?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if I share screen, so here we go. So if I share that coming out. Yep, there we go. So 2nd, 3rd and 4th of April, Venus passed the Pleiades star cluster. Here's the Pleiades, really hidden behind these diffraction spikes that the lens I used produced. And to get 3 nights in a row as it passed was unusual in itself. And then, of course, as she passed the Pleiades, then she started to approach us and get thinner and thinner. So this is the view on the 14th of April. And then we had a good run of the skies. There's the 21st. And on the 1st of May, you see just how much bigger it's getting, all shown at the same scale. And you can see as that crescent thins, it gets bigger as it approaches us and goes almost between us and the sun.
That's a hell of a cup size there she's going up to.
It certainly is, yeah.
Oh, I remember.
And you think it can't get any bigger, surely, but there it comes. It's absolutely amazing.
I remember fondly just going into rapture with these images because I had my first telescope over lockdown, and to track that while you were creating the images of it was like that incredible weather over lockdown. Wow, what great memories those just those little slivers are bringing back. The excitement. Yeah, inferior conjunction is actually on the 3rd of June, so I was going to try and follow it. Of course, I wouldn't recommend people do that because once it gets close to the sun, that's really dangerous because, you know, there's lots of heat and UV and IR coming from the sun. So I wouldn't recommend, certainly not look through the telescope because I was using the computer to find everything. I wasn't putting my eye anywhere near it. So the only thing I was risking was the telescope and the camera. You really need to know what you're doing because actually on the day of inferior conjunction, it was within 1/4 of a degree of the limb of the sun. So it was really, really close. You've got an admirer here. You've got an admirer.
The 1st of June, so that was 2 days before. And then the other good image I got was on the 13th because you had a run of cloudy days after that. So I missed that. And then, of course, as it moved away from the sun, it got smaller and the crescent started to get thicker as well. So I'll show you what happened on the day before conjunction. I thought I'm going to give it a try, but this is all I got.
Oh, now I love this. This is a video of pollen, which I think should be used to advertise to Pirites.
Yeah, it's pollen and seeds and all sorts of things at different, you know, so there's big things high up in the sky and really small things really close to the telescope, all catching the sun as they go through. And you see the sun's just off the edge of the field of view. So it was really, really close to the sun. So really dangerous. And I couldn't find Venus in the video, so I gave up at that point.
That video is hay fever personified.
Yeah, but I did manage to get it 2 days after conjunction, which I didn't use in my images because it didn't quite fit quite nicely because of the horrible background. And you can almost see there's a whole ring of light there where the sunlight's coming round through the atmosphere of Venus. So I was really, really pleased with that. But again, don't try this unless you really know what you're doing because it's so close to the sun at that stage that it's really, really tricky and you can damage your eyesight or your camera and telescope. So there you go. That's a reminisce back to April, May and June.
I mean,
when Venus was at its best.
Oh, how do I get back on? Right, get rid of that one. Have you finished with your images now?
Yep,
they brought back really happy memories, really, really happy memories of a lockdown that seemed to end too quickly.
But that was a good thing about being here. You could get out there and you could do it. So, you know, of all the bad things that's happened, well, at least some good things came out of it. So. Yeah.
Oh, David, so good to see you because I know you're rammed with other astronomy talk. So thank you so much for taking time to come and chat with us here at the SPA.
That's okay. Yeah, just keep looking up, everybody. So see you all again.
See you soon, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Oh, I love these images. They brought back really powerful memories of lockdown. I suppose life has just been moving so fast since lockdown that I've not really had much time to think about that sacred period that we had with that weather and the incredible skies. And wow, yeah, they'll never be repeated again, hopefully. So coming on, let's have a look what we got here. Right, we're having telescope wars. Mies, Elliston, is that big? I'm assuming Gerard, that's a big one. That's a big one. Hello from Tunbridge Wells, Kent. Hi, Olivia. Oh no, Christopher, I'm sorry to hear about the fires. It's just awful, awful. Hopefully clear skies and clean air coming your way soon. And Madeline, Lady Catface says, hello, Vicky, another week. Always enjoy this. Thank you very much. Right, I just have to tell you about what I saw last night. So I live on Anglesey, and Anglesey is a very, very dark sky place because it's an island that juts out into the Irish Sea. Now, I have seen the Milky Way. Let me just put me little banners on. Here we go. Visit popastro.com for our latest mugs and teas. You can do that while I'm chatting. So last night I was coming home at about 10:30, and I just happened to glimpse up at the sky, as all astronomers do, and I saw the Milky Way in a way that I've only ever seen kind of like hazy little bits of it, right? The Milky Way last night, I instantly went to a field, fell onto my back in the field and started crying because the Milky Way went over like a big, bright white rainbow from horizon to horizon. The dust lanes in it, the rusty coloured dust lanes, once my eyes became adapted, I could see the dust lanes, the browns, and I could clearly see the gaps inside the stars. And the clouds of stars, right, they were so bright from the Milky Way, they were casting a shadow on me. If you rewind back through the SPA videos, you will hear my audio description of me out with the phone just describing the vivid scene. I'm praying it's going to be like that tonight as well, because when I finish here, I'm out in the dark again and I've got to walk home. So I might just be lucky enough to get that vivid center of the galaxy, almost looking down into the core. But the amazing thing is the whole thing, it was so dark last night and so vivid that the whole thing looked like I was looking into the core, even though I wasn't. So that's how good it was. So it was like, I can only imagine it must be like seeing aurora for the first time, seeing a Milky Way that clear. I was so privileged to see it, and I really hope you get to see it like that in your lifetime. Let's see who Snap Simon. What's Paul saying here? Anne rang me. Sorry, Paul, I don't know what you're on about. Would you just like to clarify, please? Sorry, caller. Snap Simon plus some smaller ones. Oh, is that your little avatar, Dave? I love it. I love it. I love it. So we have got Chris North coming on any minute now. Oh, yes, please start telling me what you have in the sky this week. We've had a couple of good nights of clear weather. So maybe you saw a moonbow over Basingstoke. Maybe you saw an unexplained bright flash on the moon. Maybe you saw Cygnus careering down the Milky Way like I did last night. In fact, the Milky Way was so vivid last night that Cassiopeia and Cygnus, which were kind of the vivid constellations which you can usually see, they were just lost in the background of the Milky Way. It was absolutely astonishingly beautiful. So let's see what we've got going on in the chat room. Cheers, Mark Thompson. There you go. There we go. So we've got an imaging competition this evening to a copy of Nigel Henbest's book. Dave Eagle is disqualified from entering, though, because you'll just win. It is a Venus imaging challenge. So it'd be really good. Did we get the email? Here we go. Competition@popastro.com. Great. Okay. So email your images of Venus, your artwork, your fan pictures. Please email them to us and judge. In fact, Nigel will judge, and the winner will get a copy of Nigel's latest book, Stargazing 2021, which I've already had a lovely, yeah, that's a good sight. I didn't see that actually. I missed that. It was cloudy here. Very sad days. But please send us your Venus images and send us your Venus images and to competition at Pop Astro, which I'll just put onto the banner actually. Competition at, oh no, how do you spell competition at popastro.com. There you go, scroll across the bottom, imaging contest. To win a copy of Nigel's book. To win a copy of Nigel's book. There you go. Scroll across the bottom. And there it is. Here we go. So we love your imaging competition entries. We've had some great ones over the months. I think I've been doing this show for about 3 months now, and it's just absolutely the highlight of my week. Now, there was talk last week of me moving it to a Thursday because on Friday night, because we live in a holiday resort, the kids swarmed down here from the northwest, and everybody eats the internet, and the internet dies on a Friday night because the kids are just here on TikTok and everybody's on Netflix. But because I found this new secret office hiding down in the reception area, I might not have to move it to a Thursday because the internet is great. So I'm excited for that. It might be a bit echoey, actually. Do you think I sound a bit echoey? Is it annoying and echoey? Right. Here is Ian, late again. Ian, you're normally very prompt, so I will let you off this time. Right, we're going to go over to Chris North now, who is part of the Cardiff University Discovery team responsible for finding a mysterious and amazing gas floating around on Venus. Coming to you in 3, 1, Chris. Hi.
Hi there.
Hey, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Great to join you.
You are coming through loud and clear, Chris. So whereabouts are you this evening?
I'm sat at home in Cardiff. Kids are now in bed, so.
Very good. I moved to Cardiff 2 weeks ago, and then I moved back. I moved down there, told everybody I'd moved, and then couldn't find anywhere to have a house share, and realised the whole city was pretty much in lockdown, and kind of came back slightly with my tail between my legs. In hindsight, if I'd have known that Cardiff was going to be centre of the astronomical world, I would have stayed there.
Yeah, it's certainly been an exciting week here in Cardiff. I should say I'm not actually part of the team that did the scientific research. I've been helping them out with some of the, or been involved in some of the press and the media side of things. But I wasn't directly involved in the research side of things. That was other colleagues here in Cardiff and internationally. But it's certainly been exciting to help spread the word in various ways.
Okay, thank you very much for correcting me there, and apologies, sorry about that.
That's all right. Yeah.
So first of all, most importantly, what is on your T-shirt? Did I catch a glimpse of something cosmic then?
You did, I guess. It's I thought it was appropriate. It's some gas planets. So there we go.
Very, very good. Very good. Okay, so let us nip over to the questions then. Okay, so why is this incredible discovery so exciting and important, Chris?
So I think that the main thing about this discovery that the team have made is that for the first time in ever really, we've got a detection of a sign of life with no plausible explanation that we can think of. No other plausible explanation. So if you compare this to detections that people might have heard of over the past years of methane on Mars and so on, those have perfectly plausible, non-biological explanations. So on Mars, for example, it's chemistry and the rocks can cause the release of methane. Here, although there's very few people, well, I've not really heard anyone deny the detection of phosphine in the atmosphere of Venus, but the connection of this to life is one that no one has been able to explain away without invoking life. Now, life is kind of the explanation of last resort, because there being life forms floating in the atmosphere of Venus is preposterous, quite frankly, and the team admit that. But they simply can't think of any other thing that could do it. And maybe someone will think of something, but for the moment, no one can.
Wow. Okay, then it's just mind-boggling, isn't it? So, why is the group of people who've discovered it so important?
So I think one of the things that's good here about the group of people who did it. So it was led by one of my Cardiff colleagues, Jane Greaves, and she's a radio astronomer by training, but that's what her sort of the bread and butter of her work is. So she had picked up on some things in the press about phosphine being potentially what's called a biomarker, the signature of there maybe being life somewhere, normally for thinking about use on other planets in other solar systems, so exoplanets, not in our own solar system. And so then started going looking, and independently other groups, so led by Sarah Seeger over at MIT, had also been looking at phosphine as a possible explanation. And then the two came together. And so you had the expertise from Jane and her collaborators and colleagues here in radio astronomy using the telescopes, the James Clerk Maxwell Telescope, JCMT, and the ALMA telescope down in Chile. So they had the expertise in the radio astronomy, and the other team had the expertise in like the chemistry and the biochemistry of trying to explain this away. And that, I think, is crucial. You so often get detections like this where it's someone goes and says, you know, I say a radio astronomer had made this detection and just put it out there. Then actually biochemists could quite easily come in and gone, no, that's nonsense. It doesn't matter. Or quite equally, biochemists could have gone and done this, made this detection. And it took Jane and her team years to actually do the analysis. So radio astronomers might have come and gone, no, you've missed something in the analysis. But having those two together is where science is really at its greatest. When you've got this collaboration between teams who come from different places.
Oh my gosh. So, okay. So they could have published this paper once they had discovered the life, but why did they release the paper early?
It's not so much releasing early. It's more that they are. So I guess publishing it now when there's explanations. They can't think of anything else it could be. One could imagine taking this paper and then waiting and doing more tests and maybe speaking to a few other people and maybe even saying, oh, let's send a little mission. And people tend to notice rockets going off, but sending a mission there. But actually, the team have kind of come to the end of their all the theories that they've got of what this could be. And so basically calling out for help from the rest of the scientific world, of saying, well, can anyone else think of anything that could explain this? Like I said, the idea of this being life is pretty preposterous on the face of it, because the idea of there being microbes floating in the clouds of Venus in this heavy sulfuric acid doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but then neither does anything else about this detection. And so seeing if other people can come up with plausible chemical origins of this, that would mean there's chemistry we don't or didn't previously understand, which will be exciting. Or possibly someone does say, no, this is life. This is due to microbes in the atmosphere. And then I think you want the people who'd first done this, the people who first made this detection, can then go and say, no, it was us who did it. Look, here's the research paper. And what you don't want is this to sort of creep out and people talk about it, and then someone else go and make the detection, the final detection, and then the team who kind of did it first don't get the sort of the credit they like in the scientific circle. So my guess is that would be my interpretation. I certainly would have published at this stage if I were them. They've certainly gone through all the things they can think of to discount non-biological explanations, and it just makes the journey of science open to everyone. So everyone can now essentially follow along as this goes on, as different teams try and understand this and put different theories forwards about what it could be. That kind of thing. That sort of following along with the journey of discovery is something that I think is really exciting about this kind of thing.
Well, it's all eyes on Cardiff University at the moment then. So what was it like publicising this in lockdown?
Well, it was interesting because we obviously I got sort of I got asked to be involved very late on in the process. The data that they took initially was back in 2017. So Jane Greaves have been trying for this for years. Been working on this for years, along with all these other colleagues. And during lockdown, and of course we obviously had lots of meetings on Zoom and other media platforms. That's not new. Everyone's doing that at the moment. But then it came to the thing of, well, there's got to be a press conference. Well, normally with a press conference, you get a bunch of people lined up in a room, and then the camera would pan across them all. They'd all give their talks, and then there'd be journalists in the room as well. So again, that was done on online, and it's not too dissimilar from the things you see with earlier on in the lockdown. We had the Downing Street briefings and so on, where there were journalists online asking questions. That again, we kind of done that before. But then it came to we filmed a Sky at Night episode about that, and filming that kind of thing during lockdown is kind of interesting, because you have to keep your 2 meters distance. You need to make sure that all the equipment is cleaned and so on. So the production team obviously handling all of that. Those of us who were there were just there, to talk about stuff in front of the camera. But it was interesting. It was the first time I'd really been into the centre of Cardiff, where the university is, since in March. And this was late August, and that was interesting when Chris Lintott is obviously the main presenter of Sky at Night, and I went out for a takeaway beer from a pub down in town. Went and sat in these circles painted on the grass in front of the castle, here in Cardiff to keep everyone.
I saw those circles, and I honestly thought they were for some kind of weird quoits game or Quidditch or something.
No, that's the social distancing circles here outside the castle. The idea is you go and grab your drink and then go and sit 2 meters from someone else to chat. So we then, with our takeaway beer in hand, then could speculate about what this could possibly mean, which was good fun. So I think the beer probably helped with that in terms of the speculation.
Hey. So what's next then, Chris?
Well, I guess next in this journey is the people will study this. They will try and figure out if there are any other explanations. So the team have ruled out volcanoes, assuming that volcanoes on Venus. We know the crust of Venus is very dry. There's not much water in the rocks. So maybe someone can say, actually, we think the chemistry is slightly different to what you've assumed. Maybe someone can say, well, there's a way of getting some sort of energy down to those levels to create the phosphine. It has to be something that's creating it kind of all the time for it to last. Maybe there's some explanation there. A lot of the other things like lightning and so on don't seem to make to be going anywhere. I mean, most of these theories that they've looked at are they predict that you can produce bits of phosphine, but maybe 10,000 times less than is being seen in these detections. And so to try and make them produce the amount that's being seen means something's got to be really different. So that's I think one of the reasons these can at the moment be kind of ruled out. So that's one thing. And then also line this up with other detections. So we've got things like the Akatsuki probe, the Japanese probe that's there at the moment, has made some interesting detections. See if that lines up, and maybe in a few years send a probe to Venus. There are various private industry, private organizations who are talking about funding these kind of studies and so on. So that would be really exciting to send a probe to go and sample the atmosphere of Venus and find out, hopefully once and for all, is there any life in the clouds of Venus? That would be fantastic. Okay.
£5,000 bet. Do you think there's going to be or not?
£5,000. That might be a bit steep for me. So I'm not going to shake on it, I'm afraid. But do I think there's life there? My based on things we've seen, I think the idea that there is actually life there is the rationalist in me says probably not. There's probably something that's been missed, but still something exciting that's been missed. But it's a little bit like, if you think when you speak to people who work on SETI, so Jill Tarter, who runs SETI, will say, look, it's relatively small amounts of money to run SETI, to go and listen for signals from alien races with radio telescopes, but we'd be kicking ourselves if we didn't do it. And so I think that's the situation we're in now. Is like there's a tantalizing hint that maybe there's something there. We'd be really kicking ourselves if we didn't go and check it out or find out. And equally, I think back in 2016, when Jane was trying to persuade people to do this, to go and take these measurements, was like, we can go and look for phosphine, which might be a biosignature. I think if the first rejection had come through, there were a few rejections of the idea because it sounds so preposterous. If Jane had given up and the rest of the team had given up, then that would have, we'd probably been kicking ourselves if later on we'd have gone and found that maybe there is life there. And if only we'd done this measurement, back in 2017 when the data was taken, we'd have found out earlier. So that's a very long-winded way of saying probably not, but one can only hope with these things. It's exciting the anticipation of figuring out whether it's life or not. I think is very exciting.
Yeah, I'm with you on that answer. What he said.
Yeah.
So whenever it was announced last week, whichever day it was, I forget now, but that feeling that I got, I basically saw a headline that said life on Venus, and I think I went into a tailspin. I shrieked, I ran around, I rang everybody, and I kind of didn't sleep. How did you feel when you found out?
I think it was pretty crazy. So obviously I found out a little bit before, so not on the press conference, but when I think it was Jane who told me that this had happened, then I also couldn't quite believe it. And I think it was a slow realization, because someone says we found a biosignature on Venus, and you go, right, okay, yeah, so you found methane or something, that maybe it's life, maybe it's not, maybe it's like the methane on Mars. And then gradually you dig in, got sent the paper, the research paper and all the things, and you go, actually no, this is big, right? This is not This is not something that could easily be explained by something else. This is, as close as we've got ever to getting this far to proving the existence of life elsewhere. And then you get into all the speculation about whether it has the same origin as Earth, whether it's come, whether it came from the same origin as Earth, whether it's separately evolved, and so on. All these kind of things then start mulling around in your head, and it gets very exciting. So it's a slow process of realizing how big it was.
Wow, Chris, it's so exciting. I'm gutted I moved away from Cardiff now, right at the last minute. I would have been there on the door. Hello, is Chris playing out? I want to sit in circles by the castle and drink beer with Chris and talk about life on Venus.
It will be fun. Well, if you're in town, let me know.
I will take you up on that. I describe myself as astronomer bother at Royal. Let's have a quick squeeze at the comments, see if we've got any questions. Oh my word. Right. When I press this button, normally people only make very short comments, but look at that. What? We'll save that. I don't think we'll obscure ourselves. So let's see. Simon says, let's send airships to explore the Venusian atmosphere. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly something that's been done. Well, no, that exact thing hasn't been done. But in the 1980s, the Vega missions were balloons that floated in the atmosphere of Venus. Mm-hmm. And so there are serious thoughts about doing that kind of thing again. To send airships to go and travel around in the atmosphere. You could maybe even adjust their height. I mean, we're sending a quadcopter or drone to Mars, a quadcopter to Titan in a few years' time. This is something that is not beyond our technological capabilities. And so, doing something like that, I think is quite possibly what will happen. It might be the first thing that goes is something much smaller, but I think in due course to be able to send airships there, given that the interest in the atmosphere of Venus is certainly growing. Venus has been back on the map for a little while now as people have got a bit interested in actually we can start to do more studies there. But this really has put Venus on the map in terms of places to go and study again after a long time of being kind of ignored as the Earth's evil twin.
The Earth's evil twin.
Yeah.
Wow. What? Yeah. Because she's such a hellhole. Talk to me just what's going on the surface of Venus to remind ourselves of how naughty and nasty she actually is there.
So Venus is not a nice place to go. So the temperature on the surface is over 450 degrees. That's hot enough to melt lead. The atmospheric pressure is about 90 times that on Earth, and it's raining sulfuric acid rain. The atmosphere is 96% carbon dioxide. Don't get out of the spaceship. Some of the probes that went, I think I remember someone telling me that they had, this is back in the 70s and 80s, of course, but they had the electronics inside the probe surrounded by this metal case, and then that was surrounded by ice. And the idea was that the ice melted and that protected the stuff inside. And then eventually when the ice had all melted, then the machine melted. So the longest lived probe there was a couple of hours. I think it was Venera 13 was the longest lived one. I did hear someone telling me that actually you could make electronics instead of out of silicon that we make our computers out of these days. We could make them out of diamond. And so you could take different types of electronics there and maybe they could last longer. So maybe that's what someone will do. If we do things like show that Venus does look like it used to be habitable, which there are lots of theories that it maybe used to be, then maybe we can go and study the surface in more detail. And there are lots of missions being planned and being thought about as what we could do in Venus's atmosphere and possibly even on the surface. But the atmosphere is kind of where the focus is right now.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be like a new space to detect life on Venus.
I think actually because Venus is relatively easy to get to. Then it takes a few years for a probe. Sorry, a few months for a probe to get there. The first probes that we ever sent in the solar system went to Venus in the early 60s, after the moon, of course. But the first planet that we flew past was Venus. And then discovered it wasn't a very nice place, so they quickly got struck off the list, really. But it does mean that private organizations can, in principle, send stuff there. I mean, people are talking about sending probes to Mars. Well, sending probes to Venus is actually much a kind of similar problem. And so if we can send if commercial companies, private companies can send probes to Mars, they can send probes to Venus. And the benefit is here, there's no serious talk about sending people there, because that is a bad idea. Remember, 450 degrees plus 90 atmospheres, bad idea to send people there. They can't land. But but sending robots there is definitely something we can do, and so that is much cheaper than sending people. And so maybe I don't know whether we get no, I'm not going to be so bold as to say that will happen before people send stuff to Mars, because Mars has still got that appeal. But I think it's certainly possible we'll have some very quick missions launched to Venus, and many of them, I suspect, with commercial industry doing it, there will be that failure rate that we kind of see with these things. So we're not expecting them all to succeed, because a lot of them will be done kind of fairly quick and fast, I suspect. But that'll be my prediction anyway. But it is going to be very, very exciting.
Fingers crossed. Chris, it's been great, actually. So just tell me what your role is at Cardiff University, please.
So I'm in the astronomy department. So I'm a lecturer in the astronomy department, a researcher. I work, most of my research activities these days have moved on to gravitational waves and their detection and so on. So completely different to Venus. So it is nice now and again to step back in. But I'm head of public engagement, so I get involved in a lot of the fun press stories that come out. Particularly since my area is astronomy, this is definitely one that was I couldn't not get involved in when it was coming out. So it's been really, really good fun to help the team kind of celebrate their result.
Oh my word, Chris, it's been amazing, and we'd love to have you back on again. Do consider joining the SPA if you're not already a member. It's the best 23 quid a year you'll spend.
Sounds like a bargain.
Excellent. Okay. It is an absolute bargain. You get our magazine every 2 months. You get access to all our online meetings, and you just get a real feel good that you're supporting one of the oldest and most active astronomy societies in the UK. It's great. Good. Catch you later, Chris. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Right. What is happening with... where's Nigel gone? We're having a slight technical difficulty now, because Nigel is supposed to be appearing in the little green room that I've got down here, and there's no sign of him. What's happening? I'm just chatting with him on Facebook. What's happening, Nigel? It's not showing. So let me just try pinging out a new invite to Nigel. Let me have a think how I do this. Right, invite. I might disappear. There's a glitch with this weird song. So we are just having a slightly weird little issue here where we can't access our... Here he is. He's here. Thank God for that. Honest to God, I hate having to fill on this. It just fills me full of panic when there's not a guest here, because it's like, I've got my script, and if it deviates, maybe improvising can be take you by surprise, to put it mildly. So I've just sweated through just having a hot flush now, but we have got Nigel Henbest coming here, and hopefully he's not wearing a better blouse than me. Coming on in 3, 2, 1, Nigel. Are you up?
Hi, Vicky. No, that was brilliant extemporizing. That was really good. I should actually stay off the air more so people can hear you just doing your bit.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, it's like if a guest doesn't appear and I have my kind of little schedule, it's like freestyling can be... Well, you can imagine how difficult it can be.
I know. Well, I know. When Freddie's Doctor Internet was playing up there, I mean, I could see you, and it said I was in your green room, but you weren't seeing me. So we were wandering around that green room in a blackout in the middle of a black hole or something. Anyway, I'm here now.
So, Nigel, one of the things that I do is the SPA shirt hitch, where we show our T-shirts and shirts. Okay. So I've got a special space blouse on for you.
Oh, wow. Oh, I love the stars. Yes.
It's good, isn't it? It's got an itchy collar because they decided to put sequins in the collar, but we won't talk about that. What about... I want to
just hold on there, Vicky. Yes. So would
if
you like
like it's sequins. Yes, please.
Okay, well, mine is not actually astronomical, but it's sort of seasonal. It's got
that's beautiful.
Autumn colours all over it. So there you go.
Oh. Right, me and Nigel are going to have a blouse off. Who is wearing the best shirt, please? Whoever has most votes in the chat wins a blouse. Jerry Stone says, hi, Nigel. Good to see you.
Hi, Jerry. Hi, it's good to see you too.
Very good, very good. So let's give you a nice little drum roll, Nigel. You are writer on everything astronomical, producer of loads of spacey TV documentaries, future astronaut, and maybe even the first human to land on Venus is an unusual fact I found out about you, Nigel.
Yes, well, I'll be a bit careful going to Venus, actually. I'll definitely take my... I'll have to go in my swimming trunks or something. It's going to be so hot. Thank you, Bridget, for your comment.
The shirt would melt, and Bridget thinks you've got the best shirt.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, Vicky.
we need more votes, please. Who's wearing the best blouse, me or Nigel? Okay, so thank you so much for coming on with us this evening. But tell us now, we've got some good weather. Are we going to be able to see Venus tonight, do you think, Nigel?
Well, what we say tonight, if you're going to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, or actually even better, stay out partying tonight or tomorrow night until 3 o'clock, and you're going to see Venus rising over in the east. Again, for people who are not so familiar for looking at the sky, you can't miss it. After 3 o'clock in the morning, something really brilliant. In fact, a lot of people think that Venus is a flying saucer when they see it, because it really, I mean, you know what it looks like, Vicky. It's so much brighter than any of the stars. And not only that, but it shines with a steadier light. Because it's a planet, it doesn't twinkle. So you might think it's an aeroplane coming towards you, then it doesn't move. And you think there's something really weird up there. But that is Venus. Venus, the planet of love. So you can be out in the early morning sky, looking up the sky, maybe missing somebody, you know, feeling really romantic and looking up at Venus. Or, of course, you can get out your telescope, however big a telescope is, and then you can take a look at it. At the moment, it's just over half lit. And as those amazing pictures of Dave's. I mean, we saw it getting closer to us, so it got bigger in its sort of vertical extent, but thinner as it passed the sun. And of course, now it's moving away because Venus is closer to the sun than we are, so it's on the inside track in that sort of race around the solar system that we're all doing. So Venus is now pulling away from us, so it's looking smaller, but it's also getting more and more round as it goes away. But it is an early morning object. So yeah, for those people entering our competition, it's not just a matter of getting a good picture. You've actually got to set your alarm clock as well.
We will not disqualify people for using archive pictures of Venus. Any image of Venus is applicable. It can be from any time. Perhaps you've sketched the clouds as well, because the clouds are quite nice to sketch, aren't they?
Well, they are, absolutely. So you've probably seen some pictures from the spacecraft showing these clouds and the dark markings which go around the planet as well. Now, if you look just with an ordinary eyepiece, you're not going to see that, because those clouds reflect the yellow light and the red light more or less equally. To see the dark markings, they absorb blue light and violet light, and even better if you could see Venus in the ultraviolet, but our eyes can't see ultraviolet. So the best thing to do is to have a violet coloured filter, because that's going to filter out the longer wavelength, the yellow light and the red light, and you're going to just pick up the shorter wavelength violet, and that's where you're going to see the most contrast. But the problem is, if you want to filter, you're cutting out a lot of the light that's coming through your telescope. So you're going to need maybe a telescope to see the dark markings, or maybe 100 millimeters or bigger. I know you can see Venus well with a smaller telescope, but to see the dark markings, you need a bigger one and a filter. And well, good luck, because talking about life on Venus, there are people who think that those dark markings in the clouds of Venus, that's the life. You're seeing the life on Venus. So it's not actually Venusian.
I did not know that until you mentioned it earlier. I'm so excited by that prospect.
I know the whole idea.
It's been staring us in the face all along. Who knows?
That's how we've seen this. Well, obviously for decades now, going back to centuries, people have seen those markings in the clouds of Venus and not known what they are. And in fact, interesting enough, remember Carl Sagan, the late great Carl Sagan, the great popularizer with his massive Cosmos series on TV. And he was very involved with the Viking landers on Mars as well. I mean, going back about 50 years, he actually thought there might be life, microbes that is, floating around in the clouds of Venus. And as people, as Chris just said, I mean, it hasn't been a popular idea because people think of Venus as being the hell planet. So we can't have life there, can we? But Carl actually suggested that, and it's been, if I'm used term, floating around ever since. So what's really great about this new discovery is that it really does firm up that maybe those things we're seeing are the microbes. So take a look at Venus, see the alien life for yourself.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Right. Now, there have been some really daring missions to Venus, which, to be fair, weren't particularly publicized for a reason. Now, why is that, Nigel?
Well, the reason is that most of them were Russian or Soviet missions, as they would have been back then. And their publicity machine wasn't as good as America's publicity machine, shall we say. The scientists didn't want to do it in a particularly secret way, but the news didn't get out. And of course, well, can't talk about politics, but the Western media really wasn't hyping up the Russian discoveries as well as much as the Western discoveries. But yeah, I mean, the Russians actually had landers which went down to the surface. And for one of my TV programs, we interviewed one of the scientists involved. And so they built like a big oven in their lab with a door to it so you could look in. And they built a lander and they put it in this lab, in this oven, and they went away overnight while the oven heated up to Venus temperature, which is 465 Celsius. 465, that's more than twice as hot as your oven is. And they put the space probe inside it. And they came back in the morning and they looked through the window and they said, "Where's our space probe? Somebody's pinched it," because it wasn't there. And then they looked down, and on the floor, they saw these things that, as Guy said, they looked like two eyes looking at them. And those were the lenses from the cameras. And the whole of the space probe had melted into a pile of molten metal on the floor with just the two eyes looking at them. So they had to build the landers very sturdily. But the most exciting missions really were in 1985, a pair of space probes called Vega. That's not like the star Vega. The VE stands for Venera, which is the Russian for Venus. So that sort of makes sense. The GA is actually from the Russian for Halley, because in Russia you don't have the H sound like we've got, so they call it Halley, Halley's comet. Right. So it's like a GA. So the GA is actually at the beginning of Halley. So these missions went past Venus, two of them. They dropped a lander and a balloon into the atmosphere of Venus, and then they went on to Halley's comet. I'll tell you about Halley's comet because we want to come back to Venus. That's what I want to talk about. And so they flew past Halley's comet just before Giotto. Now, Giotto was the European spacecraft that went there and took those amazing close-up pictures. First time I've ever seen stuff spouting out of the solid center of a nucleus of a comet. Now, the Vegas didn't get that close, but they did send back pictures showing there was a solid nucleus inside the comet. So the Russians actually did score there by saying, we've got the first pictures showing that a comet isn't just a bag of gas and dust. There is something solid in the middle of it. But these balloons, going back to Venus now, were floating around in the atmosphere of Venus. They didn't have much in the way of scientific instruments on board, but they just showed it could be done. We could actually float around in the atmosphere. So that was a really landmark mission, and people now are looking for other missions they can follow up with, as Chris has just been saying.
Too exciting that they did a balloon and a lander and then intercepted Halley. What a triple whammy.
I know, and you say we haven't heard much about it over here. I mean, but anyway, I've had my chance. Now everybody out there listening to us on the SPA knows all about Vega and what he did. But coming on to the missions, as Chris was saying, there are some private missions. And what's really exciting is the first one that gets there may be actually launched from New Zealand.
Not a country known for its
I know, program. Space. But there is actually a guy down there who's got a private company called Rocket Lab, which is privately funded. They have launched a couple of satellites for NASA, so it is a bona fide organization for launching rockets. And the CEO of the company has been really fascinated by Venus, and even before this week's news, he was planning a private mission to Venus. As Chris was saying, not with astronauts on board, right? Just a little probe, maybe about that size, to drop into the atmosphere of Venus and see what's there. And now, of course, people are coming to him. Sarah Seeger, who's one of the team who announced discovery on Mondays, talking to this guy now, saying, you're dropping this probe into Venus. Let us help you with instruments that can really check out phosphine, any other gases. So it won't have cameras, which is a pity. We won't get amazing shots. But if we can see that, what gases there are, what else these microbes are producing, assuming they are microbes, of course. I'm sort of jumping the gun there, aren't I?
Ever so slightly. Wow, Nigel. So yeah. What do you think it? I just asked Chris before. What's your gut instinct? Yay or nay?
Yay.
Okay, good.
I will stick my neck out.
Yeah, I'm a meh.
No, come on, you've got to say yay or nay, Vicky. If we've got to say yay or nay, you've got to say yay or nay.
So my own competition, and I can't give an answer. I want it to be yes. I want it to be yes. But I'm going to say no.
I'm outnumbered. Oh dear.
I've also got bad news. I've won the blouse contest.
Oh no. Okay, I'll do better next time. Assuming you'll have me back, of course. I'll outblouse you next time.
Alison says, I like Vicky's stars. Thank you, Alison. I like them too. But Nigel has a great shirt, but Vicky has my vote. Thank you. Vote Vicky's blouse. For president.
All right, we'll have a return match, Vicky.
Oh, yeah, you're on. So you think that you've got some kind of wilder theories, Nigel. Talk to us more about that.
Yes. Well, I've been thinking about evolution. Once life gets somewhere, it tends to evolve into things which are more complex. So if we've got these bacteria floating around in the clouds of Venus, that's ideal food. It's like having plankton in the ocean. You get bigger carnivores coming along and gobbling it up. So I was just thinking to myself, and the other part of the equation is that life can't evolve in clouds. You need to have somewhere probably with a solid surface, probably running water. So what we think about Venus, assuming these microbes are real microbes, they evolved on the surface, then they got blown up into the atmosphere by winds, and they've been circling around ever since. And that's not outlandish. The clouds on the Earth above our heads have got bacteria floating around in them. So I'm just thinking, suppose you had something like birds. So if you take something like an albatross, it can fly 10,000 miles or more without actually settling down, or maybe you could have birds up there, or maybe the common swift eats insects as it flies around. So it could be you could have things like giant birds floating around up in the clouds of Venus, never having to settle on the surface, but just eating these bugs and then procreating up there in the clouds.
Wow, well, swift's my favourite bird. So to think of Venusian swift is a lovely thought.
Well, so it's not just you're going to have to book a ticket to Venus, Vicky, so you can spot the swifts on Venus.
So actually, speaking of space trips, you've got a ticket booked, haven't you, Nigel? Tell us about that. This is exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. I'll just check it carefully. I don't think it says Destination Venus on it, but I will just check out in case. It does say return. I did check that. With Virgin Galactic. I'm sure you know that Richard Branson has got his space line. We've now got the operating spacecraft, the spaceport out in New Mexico, which is absolutely amazing. It's a purpose-built spaceport for us to take off and land on. And well, 5 years ago, we had a tragic accident where we lost the first spacecraft, but we have the second one now, and it's going to be doing its powered flights. So from its new site, it's already been up into space. So the first passenger, we hope, obviously everything's slowed down with COVID, we can't help that, but we hope the first passenger will be up in a few months' time, who will be Sir Richard Branson himself, pioneering his way up there and showing the way for the rest of us astronauts who've signed up with him.
So when's your ticket booked for then, Nigel?
It doesn't have a date on it, unfortunately. We'll put it this way. I signed up in 2009, so that's over 10 years ago, and I've been telling people I'll be in space in 2 or 3 years' time. So I'm telling you now, exclusive, 2 or 3 years' time.
Let's just hope it's not a baggage handler. Let's just hope it's not a baggage handler strike when the time comes, Nigel. That would be fantastic.
Oh, I know. What am I going to do? I'll check my passport as well. Just to make sure I can get back down again.
Do you get a new passport for it?
I don't know. I mean, I should see if I get my passport stamped for being in space. I mean, if you travel to another country, yeah, I hope we'll get that. Nigel Henbest has travelled to space. Immigration stamp. And back down again.
Really good, and probably highly illegal to put in a passport. You've been to Asgardia. So, Nigel, I got asked to review a book for the SPA a couple of weeks ago, and it arrived. and it was your book, yours and Heather's book.
Mhm.
Feel free to talk about what's happening with the book and when it's out, and give it a little plug.
Yeah, sure. Well, every year for the last 15 years with Heather, I've been writing a book called Stargazing. I think that in front of my my camera. So this is the current one. So this tells you what's up in the sky now. So if you want to go to September, start showing you what's going on, and then it tells you all about things happening in the sky. Oh, talking about Venus, there's something really exciting happening on the 3rd of October. Again, you have to be up early in the morning. And you know the constellation Leo looks like a lion. Yeah, it looks like a cat like that. And you've got Regulus, which is the bright star at the heart of the lion. If you go out in the early morning of the 3rd of October, it's going to look like Regulus has gone supernova. It's going to look like it's 100 times brighter. You're going, what's going on? But that's actually Venus passing almost right in front of Regulus. It's going to be an amazing sight. But the new book is called Stargazing. Amazingly enough, start 2021, and it's available now. And obviously that starts with what's happening in January next year, and month by month we'll guide you through everything that's happening in the sky: stars, planets, deep sky things, a bit of discussion about constellations and other interesting objects which are up there, eclipses, meteor showers. You know, it's all in there.
I'm always amazed because I have a habit of winning these books in raffles. I've won multiple versions of your book and Paul Money's book, and there's another one, Steve Tonkin's book, I won in a raffle. I'm always amazed at how few astronomers actually have that book in their glove box. It should be with you at all times. So frequently I'm trotting my little book out, and I'm a font of knowledge because of the likes of you and all your hard work. I can't recommend it highly enough for enhancing your enjoyment of the sky and appearing like a show off.
Well, thanks very much, Vicky. I mean, to be honest, when I sat down and wrote it, but I think well, when I was starting out in astronomy, what book would I have liked to have had? So I'm writing it for me when I was a kid, really.
Oh, that's so lovely. That's so nice. And Nigel, I'm going to start saying this to everybody because I've got to do a bit of hustling. Please feel free to join the SPA. It's an absolute snippet, £23 a year with a great...
I will do that. I mean, I have to tell you that I was once a member of, when I was a kiddie, there was a society called the Junior Astronomical Society, and I joined it because I was a junior. But when I grew up, I sort of flew the nest. But of course, the JAS, as it was, has now become Society for Popular Astronomy, and it's for everybody. It's for beginners, whether you're young or old, or if you just have to be a beginner if you're really interested in astronomy. So yeah, I will have to go back and rejoin. In fact, now the society has changed for me. Not changed for me, not changed for me, but changed into a new beast.
Yes, we would love to have you along. Nigel, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking time out of your undoubtedly busy evening.
Thanks for having me on, Vicky. It's been great fun.
Oh, that's my middle name, great fun. See you later, Nigel. Thank you. All the best. Clear skies, my friend. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, there we go. That was an hour of world quality astronomy entertainment. Please feel free to share this video. With every share, a new star is born in your honor, allegedly. So next week, we Life on Venus Part 2. I think we're probably going to have some of the team that made the discovery joining us, and maybe an appearance from our president. Do you salute your president? The SPA president, Stephen Sargent. I'll just gaze at the sky in his honor. Right, it's Friday. It's the start of the weekend. I think I've found my forever home, and I won't have to keep on moving around to find decent internet. I'm going to watch the replay, and if it's too echoey, then I've not found my forever home. And thank you for all the votes for my shirt. Of course, it was better than Nigel's, naturally. And please send us your image challenges of Venus to competition@popastro.com. And you will win a copy of Nigel's book if he deems it worthy. So make it a good one. Thank you, Steve, for the comments. Thank you to everybody who contributed in the chat room. Jerry says, thank you, Nigel Henbest. And what have you got in your hand there? It's going to be a rocket, isn't it? I'll see you later. Good night, popular astronomers, from Vicky and team. Goodbye.